how can firms grow sustainably and navigate all the shifts that are happening in the REA space? To dive in, I'm joined by Matrisian of SEIA to learn more. Matt, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to tackle a relatively big topic today because advisory firms are growing faster than ever, both through organic expansion and M&A, obviously, as we know. And so from your perspective, what separates firms that achieve, sustainable long-term growth from those that are just simply getting bigger?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing for me as I think about that question, so it's been well touted, a lot of firms growing 2 to 4% organically, but the best firms are probably pushing 10, 12% double-digit growth on an organic basis. The biggest reason behind that is largely because they've institutionalized kind of their growth efforts. They've made investments in business development officers that go out and basically cultivate new client relationships and bring those relationships to the advisor for the advisor to effectively close and service going forward. In addition, they've started to look at ways that they can expand out their footprint through marketing efforts. So by example, at SEIA, we just piloted a national seminar program, and it actually saw significant results in terms of ROI. So we're going to expand that out next year. We did 40 different seminars in the fall. We want to be able to do at least 80 next year. And we believe we can drive a significant amount of organic growth just doing that. Other things that, firms need to take a significant investment. A lot of firms are only spending about 4% in marketing across their income statement. If you look at the return on investment and lifetime value of the client, they can be spending significantly more to that, and they'll actually get a strong return on their investment going forward. So it's really about kind of institutionalizing their growth efforts, figuring out where they want to actually spend the dollars, the time, and the effort, and they'll actually see the results that they need.
Well, it's interesting because our industry has been hovering around that, like you said, that 2 to 4% mark when it comes to organic growth. But I think what's even more disturbing is that 4% around marketing. How do you get folks to change their mind around that when the value is obviously there?
Yeah, historically, a lot of advisors rely on client referrals, as we all know. It's kind of tried and true client referrals. And I think it's a matter of being able to demonstrate and give them a blueprint on how they should actually go about marketing. Like I said, it could be very simply plugging into solutions that allow them a kind of a seminar campaign in a box, where these firms will actually go out, source clients that are within your target audience and bring them into a room for you to be able to engage with and educate those clients on or prospects on. For us, we saw that as being a win. Or it could be, how do I think about, building out a YouTube channel or having an omni-channel presence from a digital marketing perspective. It's really about just being intentional about what you want to accomplish. What I see a lot of firms do is they'll make an effort, they'll see results from that effort, and then they'll stop doing it, and then they'll do it again. And unfortunately with marketing, you have to be consistent in your approach to actually see consistent returns and ROI come back. And so that's the thing, is consistency, institutionalizing it, and making sure they're being deliberate about your growth efforts.
And obviously nothing moves forward without the talent behind it. So I want to talk about another trend within our space too, because there's been so much focus on attracting and developing that next generation of advisors. So what do you think firms need to do differently to build real career paths and keep top talent engaged really for the long term so they can retain them?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think the biggest thing for me is opportunity. So within our organization, we have 140 or so financial advisors. 60% of them are G2 or G3. We have an internship program where we bring in young talent to the firm. We either bring them into different areas in the organization, so they could originally start in investments as an analyst. They can go into be a client service advisor. They could go into marketing, giving them exposure from a business development perspective. But bringing in talent and having a good talent funnel, I think, is important at the grassroots effort. We have a lot of students here at the conference that are seeking jobs and kind of use this as a jobs fair. I think that firms be much more deliberate about sourcing that talent and bringing it in through internships and the like. From a G2 perspective, I think it's really around the value proposition firms are bringing to the table. And this ties hand in glove with the earlier question around growth. Like, if you could actually demonstrate to a G2 advisor that's kind of in their late 20s, early 30s, that are thinking about, okay, how do I kind of take my practice to the next level? Maybe they're struggling a little bit with growth, but if you could plug them into your growth engine and effectively help them continue to build their business, build their personal income, potentially be an owner or an equity partner in the firm at a later time once they kind of earn that, and showing them what that career path looks like. I think that firms would be much more successful in attracting G2 talent, and even thinking about ways that you can have a deliberate reach out. I see a lot of firms, interestingly enough, they're sourcing talent from career changers. I talked to an advisor here at the conference. He was telling me that he got 3 of his recent advisors that actually moved from teaching to being a financial advisor. And think about that. So the kind of the personality traits of a teacher, and you sitting down as a prospective client or existing client, teaching them about their investments, teaching them about their financial planning, educating them on financial literacy, having the empathy to engage with that individual. I think that makes a lot of sense. And for those teachers, they're saying, look, how can I actually, have a true career path within an organization? So I think being thoughtful about how you source talent is also something that folks should consider.
Well, think out of the box a little bit, and that absolutely makes sense because, like you said, there's so many skill sets that would translate over from being a teacher, and that's really what the advisor is at the end of the day. Is they've evolved into this life coach, right? And
Yeah.
they wear a lot of hats now, and number one job is to be a teacher, right? And so I love to hear that it's a little bit outside the box, but also very much makes sense. So to round it out, then. Obviously, we know that the RIA industry is just changing rapidly, whether it's from the technology perspective, client expectations, new ownership models, you name it. Things are always changing or still a bit fragmented here. But what do you see as the biggest shift or even opportunity, if you will, that will define where the industry actually goes next?
So I think it's largely well documented, but I'm going to touch on it and underscore it. I think individual clients are demanding more from advisors. They're demanding more in terms of services. So can you do my tax planning? Can you do my estate planning? Can you actually do the drafting of my estate planning documents? Firms like wealth.com are here basically enabling advisors to do that. So I think expansion of services and advisors being able to do that in a scaled way is super important. The notion of just providing a retirement income plan or retirement income analysis, I don't think it's going to cut it long term. Clients really are demanding more, which ultimately results in margin compression for that individual advisor. And so I think individual advisors and firms need to double down on how do they actually scale their engagement model and being much more thoughtful about that. I could certainly see 5 years from now, average advisor today maybe works with 150 clients. I could see that them needing to work with 350, 400 clients at any given time, and to be able to deliver a service model that is scaled in an efficient way. I could see also margin compression taking place. We haven't seen that at the advisor level as much. It's more downstream. But one of the reasons why advisors are being asked to do more is to justify that healthy fee that they make. So one side is going to give on that barbell. Either you're not going to deliver as many services and your fees will probably have to come down, which means you need to serve more clients to maintain your level of profitability and revenue, or you're going to deliver more services, which means your margins are going to come down, but you're also going to have to serve more clients in order to maintain your profitability and revenue. So it's kind of an interesting time that we live in. Yeah, for sure.
So I'm curious too, because I was talking with somebody earlier and they mentioned that really the future is around bolt-on services at advisory firms. So seeing the CPAs and, the estate planners, lawyers, all kind of come in-house and bolt on these services. So you have this holistic view, obviously, of a client's financials. Just curious on your opinion on something like that.
I think it's super important. So if you think about the paths to that, right, it's really kind of buy, build, or partner is kind of your choices. You can make investments and build out estate planning capabilities, bring in tax professionals within your firm, thinking about partnering with a trust company in order to kind of add trust services to your organization. You can basically buy or acquire an accounting firm. We're seeing some of the larger RIAs, aggregators now add additional services through acquisition. I think for most advisors, partner is the right path, but I think it's really a deep partnership. I don't think it's a loose partnership. So think about ways where you can more deeply integrate from a technology perspective, share consistent client experiences, share information and data in an effective way, and create that deep partnership model where you're sitting down with a client as a unified front to be able to serve that client more holistically. I think is going to be where a lot of advisors kind of lean to, because quite honestly, it's the least expensive and quickest way to be able to scale that offering.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, it is always a pleasure getting under the hood with you. Thank you so much for your insights.
I loved it. I appreciate the time. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
For wealthmanagement.com, I'm Shannon Rosic.